Welcome back. Casey Campbell here with Great Lakes Post. We continue our MAC men's basketball previews, and we're taking a look at Kent State today. Please be joined by the head coach of that team, Rob Senderoff. Rob, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Talk about what this offseason's been like for you, going through all the challenges that you have heading into from last season into in the offseason, a normal offseason. We could say with the summer workouts, how have they been going for you and your team as you begin practice?
Yeah, I mean, looking back to our off season, and how far, obviously now getting close to October, start of practice, there's been a lot that's gone on here over the last few months. Started with the really unfortunate passing of our director of basketball operations, Brian Barnes, last spring. Starting with that, a lot of the other challenges that we've had, have been, pretty minuscule in relation to that. But we've had a whirlwind of an off season, putting together a team, signing a number of players, had some coaches, assistant coach that moved on and took another position. So replacing staff, hiring new graduate assistants, obviously mentioning Brian's passing, and to see where we are now, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We have a team that, with experience. We have some young guys that, I'm excited about, some transfers that I think will help us, and a core group back that have been through some battles on the court together. And we were 12-6 in the league, finished with tied with the third best record in the conference last year. And I do have a core group back from that team. So looking forward to continuing, the process of our team evolving and getting better over time. And really looking forward to October 1st will be our first practice officially. And that's a week from today. Looking forward to that starting point.
You mentioned you have a veteran team coming back. Well, what's that like to have experience like that coming back for you guys?
Well, it helps with the teaching process because we do have a number of new guys as well, but a number of the drills, how we operate, our terminology on the court, last year was incredibly challenging because we didn't have the summer. We had a lot of new faces last year as well, and we didn't have the time, or as much time to get everything put in place. We've been able to, through the summer, having everybody here during the summer. Preseason, we're on our week 4 right now of preseason workouts, conditioning, weightlifting, etc. I think that we're getting, we're further along than we were at this point last year for sure. Now, we did lose our 2 leading scorers off of last year's team. Danny Pippen graduated, hoping here real shortly that he'll be playing in the G League. And Mike Nuga transferred as I think that would be a 6th year senior, like a super senior, because of COVID. And he was injured and missed, the back end of our year. So, we do have some question marks that we need to fill. But we're excited about where we're at and what we have coming back for sure.
Kind of go into some of the top returners that you have coming back. Who are some names that people should watch out for?
Yeah. Well, we have 4 returning guys that were mainstays last year. Justin Hamilton up front, 6'11", transfer from Temple. He wasn't planning on playing last year, and because of the COVID rule, was allowed to, and he averaged about 9 and 6, I think, last year, 9.6 rebounds. So Justin Hamilton, Travell Beck, he's another 5th year senior, is our leading returning scorer. shot 45% from three. He's dealing with a little bit of an injury right now, so he hasn't worked out this week, but he's experienced and has been through this for a long time. Giovanni Santiago was our point guard last year, played 30 plus minutes a game, led us in 3-point percentage, 3-point makes, I think. Has a lot of experience as a guard. And then I think the guy who has really made a jump, Gio's been hurt a little bit as well. He's back now, but had missed a couple weeks with a broken hand, but he's back now. But the guy that's really made a jump is Malik Jacobs, who was on the all defensive team last year. Was a junior college guard from Indian Hills Junior College. And again, this is the first time in his career that he's had a summer of workouts. It's the first time in a long time that he's been a returner, because he did go to 2 different junior colleges in his 2 years. So he's now a returner, and he's really made huge strides. He's an elite defender. Again, he was on the all defensive team in our conference. Being a first year player on the all defensive team is rare. I've been coaching here a long time, so I can't remember how many first year guys get recognized in that way in this conference. Usually it's guys that people are experienced, people see, so people respect him on that end. He's a tough guard, really competitive, and he's improved a lot. So those 4, and then we had a guard come off the bench last year who again is more experienced now. Jerry Hernandez played a bunch and has gotten better. He's consistent, more confident, older. So those guys are a pretty good core of returning guys who played a lot. I think 4 of them were close to double-figure guys last year, right around that number. And then obviously the additions that we've brought in via high school, via transfer, are really guys that we're gonna rely on to help our program this year.
When you look at some of the high school kids you brought in, you look at some of the transfers you brought in. Well, out of that group, who has really impressed you there?
Yeah, well, Sincere Carey sat out he came in December, and I just saw, one of the magazines, that came out, mentioned that he was the newcomer, preseason newcomer of the year, which, again, all those things are great to see, but, Sincere was a 2-year starter at Duquesne, played a lot of minutes. I think he led the nation for freshmen in steals his freshman year there. Obviously has a lot of experience playing in the Atlantic 10. He was with us last spring, the second semester. So, we've had a chance to see him and work with him. So, he's new on the court, but he's sort of like a half a returner is what I'd say, because he's been here with us at least for the spring term. He's an exceptional player, can defend, can shoot, can score. He's unselfish. He competes. He's a really good player. So that would be of the transfers, and we have 4 transfers, and Andrew Garcia, who transferred from Georgia, Stony Brook to Georgia. He's been hurt, and I think given his experience and production, that as he comes back from this injury, which he should be back here soon, he will really help us. DJ Johnson, is an elite shooter with length and size. The MAC doesn't have a ton of guys with his length and shooting ability. He's a unique guy because he's sort of a wing forward, can play him in different spots, and he can really shoot the ball. He's got to continue to get stronger and get comfortable in how we do things here, but he's certainly very talented. And then Akimo Ducipe is a redshirt freshman who, again, he's been out for the past week, and I'm hoping he'll be back soon. but he was doing great before his little setback here. So elite athlete, elite defender, high motor guy. And then I have 3 true freshmen. Claron Hornbeck, who has really, really surprised me. If you would ask me when 3 or 4, maybe not 3 or 4 weeks ago, 3 or 4 months ago, I would have said, okay, we'll probably redshirt him. He's young, just turned 18, but he's getting so much better each day that he's going to challenge for minutes. Like, he's a good player, and I'm really been impressed and happy with him. Julius Rollins is really versatile, like a Swiss Army knife, can defend multiple positions, has a high basketball IQ, and has a high motor. And then Jalen Sullinger is a point guard, scoring point guard, who can really, really score and does not look like a freshman. Like, he's ready to play physically. The level of competition, the daily grind is the key for him, but physically he's ready to play. And then, because of COVID, I consider Vaughn Cameron Davis a freshman, because he what I would call last year was his redshirt year. And Vaughn's getting better as well. I think he was really hurt last year with how COVID impacted teams, himself, his development, but he's improving a great deal. So, we have a nice mixture, old, new, high school, transfer, experienced, young, and then it's going to be coming together, and I know this league is so difficult to win in, just making sure that we're all doing, we're all rowing the boat in the right direction.
Yep. So looking at this league right now, how do you feel like this league's going to be this year?
Yeah, I think the conference, the thing that I think this new transfer deal has done is, we had some coaching changes in the league after last year. Rob Murphy left and went to work for the Pistons from Eastern Michigan.
Yep.
I think the coach at Central, Keno,
Yeah.
got let go. And during the season, Mark Montgomery got let go.
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois, which, I don't quite understand why he didn't coach the year, but that's not for me to understand. But so in years past, you would say, okay, those 3 programs are going to have to rebuild. There may be some player turnover, and then guys will have to sit out, and then, maybe year 2 or year 3, they'll be really good. But now you have no clue. Like, I got to assume that all of those teams have brought in some experienced guys, obviously have really good coaches. So my expectation would be that there's going to be 12 really good teams this year. Yeah. And that there's going to be a lot of parity like usual. Obviously Buffalo, Ohio, bring back a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be picked, at the top and probably deservedly so. Yep. But there's going to be a lot of good teams that'll be competing for that, conference championship. I'd like to think that if we can keep doing the things we're supposed to do, that we can be one of those teams. But I think the league's going to have a lot of parity, like always. And then the scheduling has changed. This year, 20 games, no divisions, no, East, West, you play this, you play that. I think we only play Miami of Ohio once this year. They return everybody from last year's team, but we only play them once this year. I think we only play Western Michigan once this year. So, those things will play a factor, I'm sure, who you play, who you don't play, where you play them. But ultimately, you got 20 games. You're going to have to play really well almost every night if you want to win in this conference.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, if you can get better in one area to begin the season, what do you think that would be? And then what do you want to see out of this team heading in to the upcoming games in November?
Yeah, we have to establish. That's a great question that you just asked. We have to establish how tough we're going to be and how hard we're going to compete day after day. I've mentioned, as you're asking me about players, I've had a number of guys during the preseason that have been out for this reason, that reason, all legitimate reasons, but just had a lot of guys in and out that it's somewhat tough to establish that identity when you don't have your whole roster there competing every day. So as we head into October 1st, which is a week from today, with our first practice, we'll get 30 of those, leading up to our first game at Xavier on November 12th. Like, we've got to firmly establish who we are and what we're going to be about. And, generally speaking, I'd like to think that, when people watch, the Kent State teams, you find us to be tough and physical and competitive. That's what I want to see. So we have to establish that with this group. Danny Pippen was tough and competitive. He doesn't play here anymore. Mike Nuga was tough and competitive. He doesn't play here anymore. So the guys that are here on this year's team, they have to establish that that's what they're about, for us to be good, because we're not going to change how we want to play. Like, that's not changing. I'm not changing that one. So these guys have to make sure that they understand what it means to play here and how hard you have to play here. And that's going to be established mostly by our returning guys. And then everybody's got to buy in and get better with that.
Absolutely. All right. Rob Senderoff, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and good luck this season. Let's have you on again sometime throughout the year.
Absolutely. Happy to be on. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.